preschool peeps, and welcome to what we're hoping is a slightly more uplifting episode of the COVID-19 Cindy and Alison series on how preschool teachers do it.
We need a little uplifting something. We
all
need
it.
We need something.
Yeah. So we've been talking about, thanks to some emails actually and messages that we've gotten, we've been talking about the good that could potentially be in our new normal. And so we thought we would do an episode because I think that we all need to think about how we're going to point children toward that good. Yeah. We children, when we can finally do things like have children go back to schools, it's going to be really scary for them. So, and this whole thing is scary for them. So I think it's important to be able to point out positives, right?
Yeah.
You like fill the room with positivity, you get positivity back.
Right.
So there were some things that we learned from podcast listeners who sent us information about, have you considered this or thought about that? One of them had to do with cultures coming together, maybe to learn from each other more.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting take on this whole thing, that there are certain cultures that we haven't always afforded I don't know if it's respect or haven't looked toward for as much guidance as might be helpful in this situation. For example, the indigenous cultures may actually be able to teach us a thing or two about usage for natural things and the benefits of the respect for nature.
Yeah.
No? What do you think, Alison?
Yeah, I think since we're in this time of not being able to really go out or anything, I have noticed a lot more people using nature, at least to, I don't know, get out and relax and get fresh air. But I know that other cultures use natural elements even in their medicinal ways. And maybe we can learn a little bit from that, maybe we can use some of those things. Since so many people are using the nature now and going outside as a way of meditating or just feeling good or just getting fresh air or just being out, and it's helping people in so many different ways. Maybe we can learn other ways to use it too.
Maybe we can. And goodness knows the indigenous cultures have as part of their cultures all of those things. And, when I think about the terrible ways that we've treated them in the past, it just totally was a lack of respect, not only for their culture, but for their knowledge about the land.
Oh yeah, I know.
And the beings on the land. And I think that we have to develop a healthier respect for that now. And I think that we need to reach toward them and say, the truth about any culture is this: just because I wasn't raised that way doesn't make it bad. Right. And I think we have to look now at other cultures like that and think, what have they done that, what knowledge do they have that would benefit all of us? I also think that we need to pay, especially as far as the indigenous nations, we need to pay very careful attention to what's going on. Many of them live on reservations with substandard living conditions, and that's going to very much impact them in something like a pandemic, and we need to watch out for them. We didn't watch out for them in the past, and that was a crime, folks. That was a crime against humanity, and I think that we need to help to steer. We can't rectify it, but we can help to steer in a different direction.
Yeah.
Other good things can come of this culturally for the majority culture. For example, I am so cool with never shaking hands with people again.
Never. I don't plan on shaking anyone's hand. I don't care if we have a different thing to do, like this or this.
Okay,
Allison,
you can't.
I'm sorry.
All right, Allison is putting her hand up, and what else are you doing? Waving.
One of these
prayer hands.
The prayer hands. I don't care if we don't do anything.
I have to keep reminding. Allison and I can see each other now. We have to keep reminding each other that not everybody can see us if you're on a podcast.
So sorry for those people who are just listening to me ramble about
it's so
whatever.
funny that it's going to be an every episode thing now. We have to be Allison. I'm going to narrate. I'm going to be like Allison's narrator.
Allison needs like a person here to like narrate everything she's doing.
Or I'm going to go,
she talks with her hands because she's from Jersey. And this is
Alison is right now using prayer hands. But I think not shaking hands, honestly, folks,
that's gone.
ridiculous. It will be of great benefit to us all to never shake hands again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm cool with it. I never liked it. It was always a little ewy. I don't know who washes their hands. I don't know what's on your hands or where you've been. So I'm good with none of that.
Speaking of the whole hand washing thing, I hope that what comes out of this is that people actually do wash their hands more now, because I was always a big, little bit of a germaphobe to begin with. And now I realize people weren't washing their hands because people kept saying things like, oh, I've washed my hands more times than I ever have in my whole life. What? I'm sorry. No.
Well, I'm washing my hands now. Okay, but I have this thing now where I bring groceries in. I wash my hands after touching the packaging. I wash my hands when I'm in it. Like, I do have more hand washing in my day.
I have more hand washing than I used to do, yes.
Yeah. But
there were some people saying they never wash their hands after they use the bathroom. I'm like, ew, what? And I touched you? No.
But as early childhood people, Alison and I are keenly aware of how often you should be washing your hands because it's part of our regulations for young children. I'm just going to say not everybody knew that. And if they weren't washing their hands after using the bathroom, I'm completely grossed out. You know when I started to get freaked out about this, when the soap was disappearing off the shelves and nobody knew to wash for 20 seconds. And I was like, what's been going on outside the early childhood world that nobody knows this? So you're right. Hand washing and sanitation overall. My son was telling us pretty early on, he was telling us about a restaurant that he went to before they closed the restaurants and you couldn't eat in them. They went to eat in a restaurant and they had people just assigned to disinfecting the menus between every person. So like they would give you a disinfected menu, you looked in it, you would hand it back, and they had people who were specifically assigned to then disinfect your menu. I like that.
I like that too. Doesn't it make you wonder how often those were cleaned beforehand?
Yes.
Yeah, same with the movie theater.
I don't know when I'll ever want to. Okay, so the movie theater too, they should not only be sweeping up popcorn on the floor.
They should be fully disinfecting, like they should put it like in a tent or something.
Yes, they should be fully disinfecting the seats in between, and I'll bet we'll have better products for it by the end of this too.
I think we will. Like I had a friend who posted on Facebook like how she went to the supermarket and she was like, oh my God, this place looks so incredibly clean, which made her think like, how dirty was this place beforehand when I was just
had the same
buying
thoughts.
things here. Yeah, so I hope that all that kind of stuff continues. You know,
I went into a convenience store that smelled so clean. And that's what made me realize, wait, this place was never clean before. Also, we have a convenience store by us and I liked this too. They have a hand sanitizer station outside the door, and on their door, on their door it says, please do not enter until you have sanitized your hands.
Oh, nice.
And so you go and you put, it's all no touch. You put your hand underneath the sanitizer, it plops some sanitizer in your hand. You wipe it around your hand and then you go in the store. I want every store to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think maybe now they will. That's like a good thing that might come from it, hopefully.
Perhaps. Yeah. I also think, I think all of the hygiene and sanitation things should stay forever. I also think we're going to have a much healthier respect for time with family, for whatever privileges you gain in your life after this. People who are unemployed, once they find a job, are going to treasure that. But I know time with my kids, I've always treasured time with my kids, especially as they grew up and moved out and are on their own. But now it's going to have a whole different dimension to be able to be in a room with my children.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those like treasure every moment because you never know kind of thing. Like the last time I saw some people was like before we shut down in this state. And I'm like, I would have never thought that was my last time talking with them or seeing them, or, like it's,
well, you'll see
we have like a new, I'll see them again. No, but I'm just saying like, oh my God, if I had known I wasn't going to be able to see them for like a month, 2 months, maybe I would have said something different. I don't know. Like we'll just appreciate everything a little bit more.
Yeah, my son said something similar. He took a job where the commute would have been too long, and he stays with his girlfriend and her family, and so graciously, this is way more than they signed up for when they said, sure, you can stay here while you work down here. right, way more than they bargained
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
But he was down there working, so he's been down there. And there was, right before this really broke, he had this notion that he was going to come home for a weekend to visit us, and then decided not to for some reason. And I know he felt bad about that. He mentioned it. He said, Mom, had I have known that that was going to be the last weekend I would be able to be in the room with you, I would have come. And I said, of course I know that. I know that. And nobody could have predicted the severity of this, when we were just doing the make sure you wash your hands for a week there.
Right. Or like,
Who
we're
could
only
have
going to close school for
predicted?
2 weeks. Yeah.
Right.
And now
Who
here
could
we
have
are.
predicted
Yeah.
this? And
Yeah.
Alison and I certainly live in one of the areas of the country that will be the last to end the shelter in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
We will be last.
Yeah.
Unless there are places wwho are hitting their peak after us, then
That might
actually
be.
they may be last. But
Yeah,
we're not going to be first. That's for darn sure.
No.
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 So I think we will have a better idea of what it means to be with people and to treasure our relationships with people. I'll tell you what, I also have a better, healthier respect for friendship and the friends who have reached out.
Yeah.
And even reaching out to people, like I'll just randomly get on my texts and kind of go through them and think, who haven't I heard from? And send them a text saying, hey, thinking of you.
I do that too. I feel like, I hope that doesn't end. Like, people have been checking on me more and I've been checking on them more. Usually if I am going to head out, I always text a couple of friends like, hey, I'm going out. Do you need anything while I'm out? Just so that, if I could stop them from going into the store for one day, hey, that's fine. I'm already there. I hope that kind of stuff continues because it's so nice and it kind of makes you like, it's more like community. This is what we should be doing. We should be taking care of each other and watching out for everybody. And it took this pandemic to kind of have that hit again, but I feel like that's what we should be doing. We should be caring for your fellow human being, and it's so nice. Like, I love getting like random texts from people. I got a text from a friend before we started podcasting that lives in Arizona. And I only talk to her like once or twice a year. And she was like, hey, how was your Easter? It's just it's so nice. I hope that continues.
I hope so too. I hope we continue to not just think about people, but reach out to people. And I hope that a lot of the caring that's going on right now continues. The caring for the elderly, that has to do with the indigenous nations too, they're really very, and interdependent cultures around the world are way better than the culture I'm from about respecting and taking care of our elders as a whole. And I hope that this caring for older people, doing things to help them, reaching out to them and saying, what can I get for you? I hope that sort of thing stays.
Yeah.
And even, what I really like? I like these drive-by parades people are doing for like kids' birthdays or the holidays, and they're in their cars driving by family and waving. That's like so really great. Cute. Yeah. If you have family that, older or ill family members where you can't gather because their immune systems are compromised, we can keep doing the online sessions. We can keep doing these drive-by things. I think we're learning a lot about how to reach out without being able to be in the same room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank goodness for all this technology. I would have lost my mind.
Oh God, if we didn't have, I don't know what we would do. I don't know what we would do.
So I hope they beef it up, I think it's great that like in places like New York City, the Department of Education has been working very hard to put technology in every child's hands. And so it should be. And so it should be. Because this is the world they're growing up in. And just because you're living in an at-risk area, because you're living in poverty, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the same sort of advantages as everyone else to be able to function in the world that you will enter as an adult. So as it should be, that we're making sure that young children, regardless of their family's income level, are able to access technology that they will need to get a decent job in the future. Amen to that.
Yeah.
When they talk about poverty cycles and people say, oh, everyone has the same chance in life. No, I'm sorry. If you are a young child, you don't even have access to technology, you do not have the same chance in life. I'm sorry.
You don't.
So the fact that they're putting tablets in the hands of children who are not able, their families are not able to afford it themselves, yay. yay, it will give them a better chance maybe in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that we still maintain the respect we have right now for the doctors, the nurses, the grocery store workers, the truck drivers, the childcare workers,
the maintenance people, the sanitation people, all those people who are out there risking it.
Yeah, all these essential workers that are risking their lives to put food on your table or make sure that you are safe and healthy. I hope that kind of maintains after this, that they're not just like, oh, they're just the grocery store clerk. No, they are a person and they are doing a really awesome job. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you what else. I'm going to extend that one step further. I hope that in the future, those are the heroes that children are taught to look up to, including, first responders, fire department, police department. I mean, but including grocery store
clerks,
including the maintenance people, including the restaurant workers. All these people who go to work every day to provide services to other people. They should be our forever heroes, not just during a pandemic.
Right. And I hope that people realize, I mean, it took, I think, the pandemic for people to maybe realize that. But I'm glad that people realize it, that one of my friends was saying that she teaches a high school, right? Her students are not online learning because they're essential workers. They work in restaurants, they work at grocery stores, and they're working 40 to 60 hours a week and can't go to high school. They're heroes. They are. There's 17-year-old children out there that are working to make sure that you guys are safe. So,
childcare too. There are people working in childcare. The childcare workers who are there with the essential workers families now. Where we live, I don't know how it is where everybody is listening. Where we live, childcare is only open for essential workers families. That's all you're allowed to have in there. And those people are going in every day and risking their own lives to care for the children of the people who have to be on the front lines. Right. Childcare workers are heroes. And may we all have a healthier respect for childcare workers, for teachers, for school administrators. As a consultant, folks, I'm helping these people invent the wheel. May you all have a healthier respect for what they have managed, and we have managed as an educational community to pull off during this time. It may not be perfect, but it's incredible.
I'm telling you, it's not perfect, but when you had an hour to prepare for it, think about that. Like, I'm doing it and I'm rocking it after an hour of training. Okay. Yeah. It might not be perfect at all, but we're doing it. We're doing it. And the kids, at least in my class, are happy. So, I mean, that's all I could ask for, is that the parents and the kids are happy, and
but it's not just children either.
It's not just children.
I'm teaching child development courses online. Yeah. I'm teaching a credential online now. We're making sure people continue to move forward. And I hope that there's a healthy respect for that. That we're still saying to people, you can still reach your goals. Come on, we're going to do this together. Right. And trying to keep them focused on the future. And I have to tell you that as someone who teaches, and I'm sure Alison would agree with this, I teach adults more, she teaches children more, but regardless of who you're teaching, those of us doing it are spending a lot of time being quasi-therapists and helping people through their own anxiety. And so we have to put our angst aside. Folks, what teachers are doing right now is some of the heaviest lifting. Yeah. So, but even, I look at every day, I see like the postal worker who delivers my mail walking by. And I think, wow, to be out there all day, every day, and sorting this mail and doing things. I don't even want to touch my own mail. And they're out there touching everything and putting things in mailboxes. I know. Like, oh my gosh.
Doing it. And
we need to have a better concept of what a hero is and who we should look up to in this society. And so I hope that that's teaching us who we should be teaching children to look up to. Because folks, it's not some of the people we have taught them to look up to in the past.
No.
What else do we want to have remain? I want people to not only telephone call family who's far away, but get on Zoom with them and get on FaceTime with them and see their faces. I think it's awesome.
I think this part of it is awesome. I tried to get my mom, who does not understand technology all that much at all. She has a tablet and it's got like a Google Hangout or something. I was like, Ma, just push this. And she just like, and I'll try to get on there, and then you can get on and you can see.
You can do it, Allison, because I taught my uncle. Okay, so we had a Zoom family call, and my uncle, of course, he has a tablet, but he doesn't know how to use Zoom. So I talked him through it, and we rehearsed, and he got on the day of our call perfectly. We were like so happy. You can teach her.
I feel like, because I think it for my mom, who's, you know, missing us, or like she's wanted to see my niece for Easter. I'm like, this is a way you can still see her, you know, and it might not be live, but you'll still, you know, I mean, it's still there, and you'll see her moving around and walking, and, you know, I think it would really help her. So I hope she figures it out to do that. Yeah.
I also hope that like I've been spending more time doing, I'm still working, as is Allison, but I have been spending more time plotting and planning time to not work, because I could sit now and work from morning through evening, but I actually am making more conscious decisions now about what my hours are going to be, setting up this schedule, making sure I'm not overworking myself. I'm sitting and doing jigsaw puzzles. I have a better respect for walking out, taking a walk outside, or just sitting on my porch for a few minutes to breathe in the fresh air. I hope all of that stays. I hope we're really conscious of what we need. Also, because we need to be well rested, to be strong, to have our immune system be strong. So I hope we keep that in the forefront of our minds too.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from our listeners and watchers about what you hope stays. Maybe we'll do a subsequent episode if we hear from you. Go to howpreschoolteachers.com and contact us with what you think. And you can also go to our Facebook page, How Preschool Teachers Do It podcast. How else can they reach us, Allison? They can like our page, comment,
go to Facebook,
comment on
YouTube. Yeah.
They can do all these things. Comment, rate, respond. Let us know what you hope stays if we haven't already mentioned it. And we'll catch you another time on, we have to come up with another, every episode we're coming up with another crazy name for what we're doing. Another episode of Corona Times, Cindy and Allison.
Corona Times. But yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, peeps.